Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Um, what we are going to talk about today is uh, what we kind of need to do to master our labor cost forecasting in our capital projects. But before we get into that, just some quick introductory activities here. Um, I'll first introduce myself. I am a uh, senior director and client partner at SimpleFi. I've been with the organization for about 7 years and in the SAP EPM space for about 13 years. Also spent about 25 years in corporate FP&A roles, so kind of know both sides of the fence, if you will, and use that experience to work with clients to solve those FP&A problems and issues that face us today. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is a couple things. First, who is SimpleFi and what we do, and then we'll jump into the webinar content where we will look at a business scenario related to a research project, and then look at some of the business solutions, and then provide a quick demo on that solution. With that, let's jump right in. Oops, wrong direction. Sorry about that. Um, but as far as SimpleFi goes, many companies turn to SimpleFi because of our unique blend of product and process expertise. Um, we're CIOs, CFOs, a lot of FP&A experts, some CPAs on our team, but we provide full support throughout your customer journey, from selecting and buying to implementing, adopting, and expanding your SAP solutions. This holistic approach really solidifies your tech investments, ensuring you not only integrate smoothly, but also foster sustainable growth with the applications from a scalability standpoint. And by partnering with SimpleFi, you're going to gain a trusted ally that helps you navigate those complexities of the SAP solutions and those touch points, and ultimately driving your long-term success, just as we have with a lot of these customers that you see here. So, like I said, we are a firm of partners focused on business process design. We are a go-to partner with SAP or SAP Gold partner for that matter. We do have offices in the US and Canada, based in Chicago and Montreal. And we're a perfect combination of services and platform applications as we pull those together with our Planify content that I'll cover on the next slide. But some of the pre-built applications that we have, and pulling that together with our expertise in business services and technology focus in SAP Analytics Cloud, the new Business Data Cloud, DataSphere, BPC, etc. So as we look at the Planify prepackaged application extensions, if you will, we have a lot of them focused on the planning side, as you can see, ranging from the pipeline sales and revenue planning all the way through your supply chain, um, treasury, liquidity, H&R, and CapEx planning, as well as a good suite of analytic tools, BI tools that are attached to that. You can see also that some of these applications are available on the SAP store. So if you go to the SAP store and search for SimpleFi, you'll be able to find some of these solutions. So when we combine these applications and our experience and our background with this SAP Analytics Cloud technology, we can provide you a holistic EPM process as we look at these different applications here and how they can interact together, from sales and HR capital planning through expense and supply chain planning, to consolidate into a full financial plan for your organization. Not only plan, but having your actuals and your forecasts and everything all in one place to promote solid BI activities as well. Whoops, sorry, wrong direction again. But from a additional offering with Planify, we do have Planify FP&A Cloud, which is an architecture for smaller to mid-sized companies that is going to bring a lot of this together in a prepackaged solution that you would use and map into this existing system and allow uh, the SimpleFi sourced and hosted tenant um, for your organization and use that and even provide you with the expertise of the FP&A analyst in this process as well. So if you are a smaller company and looking for some plug and play um, solutions, something like this we can get up and running for clients in a week's time. Very successful application here. So that's a quick overview of SimpleFi Solutions and what we offer, what we're about. We'll have some information, some links for you at the end of the presentation if you wanted to look at those further. But without further ado, let's just jump into the webinar content itself. Like I said, we'll look at a business scenario and as well as some solutions for that. Quick demo, and they'll have an appendix at the end with some additional information. So as we jump in, the topic of the webinar, yes, it's capital planning, but we're going to focus on the labor forecasting piece of it. So why is accuracy important? I think we can all understand that, yes, accuracy in everything we do from a forecasting perspective is important. I don't think anyone would deny that, but what is some of the reasoning behind that? I mean, why is it so important? It might seem obvious, like I said, but there are a lot of facets to this, including not only from a cost management standpoint, but resource allocation, project scheduling, mitigating some of the risks that we would have with the project, and then looking at it from the kind of the softer side of the project, employee well-being, all those that are going to be involved in the process, and also the stakeholder confidence. So as we look at these and we look at the cost management piece, usually besides possibly the equipment purchases, depending upon the project, and labor costs to plan, research, design, implement, operate, maintain the project are likely going to be the largest cost in the project. PMs or project managers and owners are always going to be held accountable for that budget, right? So this is really critical to the process, obviously, cost management, and that's probably the most obvious thing here. But also we can look at it from a resource allocation perspective. Are we going to have the proper skills in the current workforce to pull this off? How much lead time do I have to fill in gaps if I do have some gaps in availability and skill sets? Having an accurate picture of this is very helpful. It's going to help us avoid delays, make sure the tasks are performed by the right people at the right time. Also looking at it from a project scheduling perspective, it's going to help us pull together realistic timelines. That's going to be really the key to our success in the project. We need reliable labor data that's going to enable that project scheduling and accurate project scheduling to take place. From a risk mitigation perspective, we can see, with accurate forecasting, we can see potential labor shortages ahead of time and then plan accordingly. As we're in the early stages of planning, we'll be able to see those ahead of time. We could also see what skills are needed and when and what time I can have those any gaps closed. So this is going to give us all the ammunition we need to mitigate our risk in the project as a result, or from the aspect of labor forecasts or the labor associated with the forecast or the project. Oops. Now, next, we would look at employee well-being, and we all know that people aren't robots, and we shouldn't treat people as robots because obviously we don't want to be treated as robots ourselves. We just don't want to stretch people too thin. So having everything in place that we can do to prevent from burning out employees relative to projects and so forth because of the tight deadlines and so forth, we need to put those things in place. Um, we would all want that for ourselves, and I think that's what we would owe to the people that would be working on the project as well. As we all know, satisfied employees are productive employees, right? And they also are just going to contribute to a greater chance of project success, no doubt about that. And lastly, as we look at stakeholder confidence, if we can demonstrate reliable plans and results, it's going to instill stakeholder confidence, not only in us, but the project itself. And if we can do that in this project, it's going to mean getting approval maybe a little easier, a little quicker for the next project because we've instilled that confidence in the stakeholders based on the efficiency and accuracy that we have put in place with the existing project. So now that we've talked a little bit about the importance of the accuracy, and why it's important to have that accuracy of the labor forecast within the project, let's talk about a particular business scenario. Like I stated earlier and I have on the slide here, let's just take a quick look at a new research project. And what we need to do here is we need to develop an accurate labor forecast. So we're going to take on a couple areas here. And here, first, what we want to do is we want to take a look at the historical data. I mean, this is not likely our first project, right? So we want to take a look at that historical data. We want to look at past projects. I mean, are there anomalies in the data relative to labor within those projects that we can learn from, things that have happened? Yeah, can we learn lessons from that data? Can I see the talent pool that's available? By taking a look at the current workforce, does the data I have access to, is that going to give me insights into the talent and the skill sets that are available to me? And do I have the time to fill in the gaps in that talent pool and those skill sets with training or onboarding new employees or contract employees? Also, do I have a good way to predict the labor force? Maybe this project is of significant size and it's really going to kick off in 8 to 10 months. Sometimes we may have to do some predictions on that labor data to make sure that we are likely going to have a certain skill set and so forth in place at the time the project starts. Things that we can look at also, seasonal variations in the business as well as the labor pool. Also, market conditions, can affect things relative to the labor market for the particular project. A lot of things that we can be looking at here. Now we'll need to get into developing labor models. Getting back to the project at hand here, it's going to allow us to set the stage for the forecast. We're going to look at, pull together the number of workers that are needed to perform the tasks we need. What type of roles do we need? Their particular time on the project. Obviously, this is something in theory we could all do on a piece of paper, but we know that that's not the day and age that we live in. There are a lot of software tools out there that can simulate different scenarios for us, and we'll take a look at some of that as well. We also want to plan for contingencies. Who has ever worked for a project that went exactly as planned? I'm assuming very few of us have, and there's probably no one on the call here that's raising their hand that says they have. I guess if you have been on a perfectly executed project, maybe we should talk. But anyway, knowing this, it's a prudent exercise really to plan for the inevitable, um, whether they be missteps or outside influences that may impact the project, such as changes in the labor, such as unexpected delays due to internal, external factors, supply chains, and so on and so forth. So, can we address these risks? But having the data, the right data in the beginning, is going to allow us um, to do that. And lastly, even though we're in the planning stages of the project, we really still need to have a means of monitoring the project's labor, and we need to have that in place prior to the project starting. Okay, not midway through the project or make it up as we go. And this is really going to allow us to act quickly should the winds change as the project gets started. We need to be able to stay on top of things from a labor perspective. So, what would I look for in a solution, a software, a business solution to have an accurate labor forecast relative to the capital project? Well, we can look at things, some criteria in a couple different areas, not only for the workforce management tool qualities, which would be, just strictly on the people side, but also the planning and analytical tool qualities. Okay, we've talked a lot about, like I said, the need for accuracy and how to prepare for building and monitoring the forecast. So when we do look at those workforce management tools, we need to have something that can schedule employees, provide us data on the skill sets and their availability, maybe even have some AI machine learning capabilities to allow us to interact with that data. And that also should be able to integrate well with other analytical tools. Now, from a planning and analytical tool standpoint, we want something, obviously, that's going to have ease of use for the business user. We don't want to need to get IT heavily involved in the day-to-day activities of the application. We're going to want real-time data and updates as much as we can. That's going to, and also allow us to do what-if scenarios and such. And importantly, as well, as projects are not one person shows, we're going to need to collaborate with colleagues. And how do we do that? Does the tool that we have or we would have in place foster that? Does it allow for us to do that? So since you're on this call, I'm sure you are familiar with SAP and the applications that drive so many companies' day-to-day operations, from the Fortune 1000 to the small and mid-market organizations as well. When we look at one of the products, as I mentioned earlier, SAP Analytics Cloud, which I'll kind of refer to as SAC here, it is a really super flexible planning and analytics application that plays very well with other SAP products, obviously, but also with other tools as well, whether they be certain types of data connections, what have you, or other types of data integration. But if we look at this graphic here, we look at SAP Analytics Cloud, or SAC, looking at some of the current products here for SAP HANA, and if we look at SAP SuccessFactors from a workforce management piece, SAC works with those very easily. There's already data pipelines built or connections made, but I have performed implementations relative to labor forecasting that had other data sources as well, from a workforce management perspective, ranging from PeopleSoft to ADP and Workday. So SAC at the end of the day is really source system agnostic. It's just a matter of how you get at the data, how you pull the data into the system. So I do want to note one key piece of information on the slide, and it's really in the upper right corner here. as we look at the having our actuals, our forecasts, and our budgets all in the same tool. Can't stress this enough that this is critical as you want to employ solid BI capabilities and forecast capabilities relative to your labor forecast. You need the actuals there to understand if your forecasts are accurate, and you need that information there to learn from and allow yourself to forecast more accurately going forward. So this is critical, and having all that data in place enables those opportunities throughout the organization. So with that, um, why don't we just jump right into a quick demo of a kind of a subset of the capital expenditure planning application that we have built out at SimpleFi Solutions. It does have a subset specific to labor and expense planning for capital projects. And so we'll hone in on one of those areas, and this is that same area from the last slide, but just to kind of blow that up a little bit, and we'll see it in the tool here momentarily. But what we've done is kind of built out a basic workflow for the users where we will plan labor rates, kind of enter our project demand hours, and then also do some alignments with what's available, review where we may have shortages and so forth, calculate our labor costs after we've made changes and so forth, and even be able to plan for some non-labor costs in the projects, and then look at our look at everything at the end there. So with that, why don't I switch over to the application. All right. Okay, so everyone should see that that same screenshot on the page now. So here is that kind of menu I was looking at before. So once we get here, this is really our launch page. What we're going to see on here are various KPIs that are important to the labor portion of the CapEx process. I can look at data by company code. For example, I can look at data by different projects. For example, I may just pull up project one here, so you can see. I can see all my labor costs bucketed by engineering, Q&A, management, legal, for that matter. This is more of a service project here, but this is kind of our dashboard as well as our planning process steps. So let's jump into that first step, which would be to plan our labor rates. Okay, and just know, we're looking at something that's, from a demo perspective, we have implemented this in various clients, but it never ends up looking like this. This is just for base demo purposes. This is fully functional, but some of what you see here, yes, it is fairly straightforward, like I said, for demo purposes, but just to give you the look and feel. Right now we have everything set up by, say, our labor rates by salary groups. So different types of employees, and down to the contractor level here. And we have prior plan against current plans. So we can kind of see where data has moved over time. And again, this can be customized to fit any business need. These breakdowns here can be very granular. Like I said, this is just pulled up here for demo's sake. But what we could do, like in the blue area here, this is the prior plan data. So this is history. This is our current plan. This is what we're looking to use to plan our current project. Okay. So if I get into this blue area here, I can go in and update one of these rates. Like if I look at like say this one here for group B, it's 65, kind of looks kind of high. I'm going to put that down to 72, for example, and you can see that everything's going to change ahead of time. You can see it's displayed graphically at the bottom, shows a 10% change from the prior plan. I can publish that to my system so that others can use it at that point. Currently, it's just private to me until I publish that data. Um, if I really didn't want that, I could just revert that data and take it back. Now I'm back to my 80, but let's just go ahead and I'll just keep that. I'll put that 72 back in there. So just kind of sticking with the application here, we've gone through and we'll just say we've gone ahead and updated all our rates here. That's fine. We got these to the way we need them right now. And just note that everything we're doing here is not set in stone. We can always come back and change things and run back through the process. So we try to help out users too with navigation as much as we can, being that SAC is cloud-based, obviously, and initiated through a browser UI. We can put in hyperlinks to help with that navigation too. So I can click in the upper right here, and let's just jump over to the plan project demand and look at those hours. I think we were looking at project 1 before, so I could do that again and just kind of skinny this down a little bit here. And so yeah, now we can we can look at our project demand. What we've done on the side so far is we know that there's certain tasks and so on that need to be done. We know the type of labor that we need. In this particular straightforward example, as far as engineering, QA, management, legal, we know what the estimate of the hours are that we are going to need to make this project successful. So this particular model is set up with a daily or a day granularity as far as the calendar goes. So we can see the plan up here. We can actually plan this out on a daily basis, for example, and look at these hours, man hours or person hours that we need from the QA perspective, for example. Maybe we need to bump up January by 5% for various reasons. And we can see that all of January was updated, not the rest of the year. If we wanted to update the whole year instead of just January, we could do that. Whoops, I did not do that right. Let me back that off. There we go. But you get the picture here. I'll just do 5%. There we go. That's what I meant to do. But now you can see how it's updated every year. If I did not want these periods updated, I could just lock those and then update this here. And you can see it updated everything but what I locked here. So a lot of flexibility from data entry standpoint. So I just wanted to make sure that that was visible and for you as someone evaluating here. So as we now put in our demand, one thing we want to look at now is basically look at the plan assignments and so forth. Here we can look at specific resources. So now we start to get into a place where we are bringing different data sources together into this application. In the previous screen, we've looked at just straight out demand. Now we're going to try to pull together, and I've done some of this already, but pulling in specific resources with specific skill sets for these particular areas. Okay, so now I can assign some of this some of these hours to particular specific resources. Okay, that I can do here. What I can then show, whoops, I did not want to go back there yet. What I can show here is once I put those resources in and pull this together, we look at the demand piece here, which is what we entered on previous screens, and this is what we have available to us and what we've made as far as assignments go. And now we can look at specific hour shortages. Where are we gonna have issues based on what our demand is and who we have available to us, and from a timing perspective. So if I just take a quick look at here, which I think this is kind of funny, we're running short on legal hours here in work week 4. So whether it's legal or engineering, that's beside the point. The point is here is that I can see my demand. I can see the hours that are available in this particular cost element or skill set that's required. And I can see the shortage and I can plan for that. I can take action. What can I do to mitigate that? Is that something where I can pull in a contractor to do that? It looks like we don't have that contractor in place, and now I know that I can just kind of pull the trigger on that one, if you will, and start the process to get that seat filled. Okay, so this is going to allow me to be able to see that type of information. So we can look at that in the data table. We can also see that here, more so at kind of a dashboard type level. This is kind of a combination of it is a table, but also has some visual items here that can allow us to hone in areas very quickly. This can be expanded into whatever visualizations that are required to keep things going. But now we've looked at head counts, we've looked at hours and so forth. Now what we really need to do is kind of cost this up, okay? Let's take those hours based on the resources that we've matched up, and let's cost that. What we can do here, we click on this little play button, and I can take this now, and based on that version I'm using, that current plan version, I've already run it, so I'm not going to do that again, but I can initiate that with this play button and then have it calculate or extend all those costs based on those labor rates and hours that I have as in my labor supply area. So then when I look at that against current plan versus prior plan, and I have this little asterisk up here which tells me that this data is only visible to me, so I'm still kind of working in my little what if world here as I plan this out before I make it public to everyone else. But here I can see these data points and compare those two, and this one looks fairly substantial. So what I want to do for those who may have to review this and approve it for me is that I can add some commentary here. In this comment column, I can just come in and double click and say I'm just going to say extra effort needed here, add that comment, and you can see the comment is going to stay there, and it is also going to show here. Someone else could come in here and type a response to this. If I could type there, we'll do that. The latest comment will always show up here, but you can see it's always going to keep your history there. And the user or the writer, author can edit these, delete these, kind of give the thumbs up, etc., and add additional comments and so forth. Okay, so a good way to interact and collaborate with others in the organization, even prior to making this public for the rest of the organization. So lastly, if we're looking to build out a labor-intensive project with this detailed labor forecast, we can then, at the end, add those, I'll call them those non-asset type of costs to the project, whether they be some materials and freight to that we need, supplies, travel, and so on, that we would need to add to any particular project. Again, looking at it by company code, looking at it by individual project if we need to, okay, to kind of hone down our workspace here. Okay. And then lastly, once we've costed everything up, done all the labor calculations, added the non-labor cost to it, we can now come back to our dashboard here, where we can see things again by company code and by project, and see how it's impacted everything. We can look at the cost, even comparing project versus project if these are similar projects, and it makes sense to make those comparisons. So that really then takes you through that process from going through and taking your labor need, entering that need by the types of skill sets you need in this particular example, comparing that against what is available from your workforce management system or source system, costing that up for your particular project, adding the other non-labor costs to it, and arriving at total projected project costs. And from here, you could then submit this for approval. Then you can start to look at where your shortages were from a labor perspective and start to act proactively on getting that project ready to roll and ready for success. Like I said, this is our take on the process right now. The process itself, the business process, is going to be fairly similar from organization to organization. How you present it, how you look at it, how you disseminate that information through your organization can differ, and that's where we can take these visualizations and tailor them to your needs. Okay, so with that, just want to switch back to the deck here. All right. So yes, that would really conclude the demo for today. So I do want to thank you for attending the webinar. You will receive a link to the recording and the materials that have been shared today. And yes, what I'd like to offer you as well is just some contact information for myself. Scanning any one of these QR codes will get my contact information, as well as information or links to our SimpleFi website, our YouTube channel, and our LinkedIn, our company LinkedIn page. So again, I thank you for your time today, and have a great rest of your day.